I was blessed to have played for one of the best leaders in any industry, whether it be college basketball or business, in Dean Smith. And the more I learned, the more I realized how smart he was. For example, culture is a big thing in leadership. And we had a great speaker. I'm a Vistage chair. We had a great speaker, David Friedman, who has a book out, Culture by Design. And he talks about intentionally driving culture, because I think culture, sometimes we think, I'm a good guy, I'm a hard worker, I partner with a good person who's a hard worker, and as a result, we're going to attract good people that are hard workers, and the culture will just happen organically. But it gets diluted with each person you hire, so it has to be intentionally driven. And Coach Smith intentionally drove the culture each and every day. And I really didn't understand that till this year when David Friedman talked to our group and I read his book, that Coach Smith intentionally drove that culture and made things become ritualized and habit forming. You've got to have core values. It starts with core values. And then you've got to recruit to your core values. You have to train to your core values, and you might have to fire to your core values. And when I played at North Carolina, it was play hard, play smart, play together. So we're going to play hard. We're going to give up, play all out. We're going to be smart, and we're going to play together. We're going to be an unselfish team. And all his behaviors, the emphasis, the things he emphasized in the daily practices were rooted in those core values of play hard, play smart, play together.
Yeah, and I love hearing that. I think a lot of times, and I've even seen this in my experience as a coach, sometimes we say something or we have something written on the wall, but we don't actually live out those values in everything we do and in our daily behaviors. What ways was Coach Smith kind of making sure that you guys were playing hard, playing smart? Was it just as simple as talking to you about it? Or was it just everything that was emphasized within the program?
Well, it's accountability, right? It comes down to accountability. I think some leaders, if you don't have your behaviors written out, like, what are the behaviors, your core values? My core values are respect, trust, commitment, positivity. Now, respect to me is different than maybe how you view respect. So respect to me is, someone walks in a room, you stand up, you shake their hand, you give them good eye contact. So I have to then create the behavior of, okay, when somebody walks in the room, I expect everyone on our team to stand up and greet them with a good handshake and good eye contact. Because some people, didn't grow up like I grew up, right? So some people, and I learned this the hard way, to me, eye contact's a big thing in communication and showing respect. But in other countries, eye contact is disrespectful. It's a sign of disrespect. So if you gave eye contact to people who are older than you or in a higher position, you're telling them you disrespect them. So I had players from Senegal, West Africa, and I got upset at them because they were not giving me eye contact in a team meeting. And one of them came up to me afterwards and said, "Coach, in our country, that's a sign of disrespect." So you have to be aware of who's on your team, what cultures they come from. And just because something's respectful to you, it might be counter, to another person on your team. And so now you have to get inclusion, you have to get buy-in, and then you have to spell out the behavior you want that supports the values of your organization and make those become habitual by repeating them on a regular basis throughout the organization and reward. Coach Smith was so good at praising the actions he wanted repeated. So he would catch you doing that right. Hey, good job of giving me eye contact. Good job of standing up when someone walked in the room. Conversely, if he had something that he was emphasizing that day, like sprinting the floor, which supported the behavior of playing hard. Well, if you didn't sprint the floor, he might put you and your team on the baseline and run a sprint, or he might have you switch your jersey from, I was on the starting team most of my career, the white team to the blue team. And the worst thing he could say to me was Doherty Exum changed jerseys. Cecil Exum was a player on our team who was on the backup team, the blue team. And when he did that, whoo, you know, then if I had any pride, I'd make sure I played harder, played smarter, and played more together than ever before.
Yeah, and it sounds like there was just an understanding, number one, of how Coach Smith was acknowledging these correct behaviors, but also if you fell out of line, you knew exactly what it took to get back in favor. And that's great, just in terms of Coach Smith having like very simplistic values that he coached the team with and was looking for in his players. You guys had a ton of talent on the team that you played on in college. You know, typically there might be one, maybe two NBA players on a team. You were kind of in this magical time for North Carolina basketball where you had basically an entire starting five of players that were going to be professional players. And so what were some of the characteristics that you noticed, maybe not at the moment, maybe so, but definitely upon reflection that yes, these guys had talent, but maybe they had other traits to Coach Smith's values that you just talked about?
I think we were mainly high character guys, unselfish. I think that was probably the number one thing, was we were unselfish. We shared the basketball. We didn't promote. It wasn't individualistic. It was all about team. And, you know, that's what Coach Smith promoted. Again, play hard, play smart, play together. And everything was, you know, if you scored a basket, you know, a ritual was you pointed to the passer because he wanted you to acknowledge that you didn't do that by yourself, and to give praise to the person who was unselfish enough to pass the ball to you. So to promote the teamwork, pointing to the passer was such a big part of Coach Smith's system and the culture of recognizing the unselfish play of a teammate.